My name is Eden Mills, and this is my speech on painting types, styles, and what different types of paints are used for. The types of painting are watercolor, which is water-based with pigment. Acrylic is plastic-based. Oil is obviously oil-based. Digital is Adobe or Procreate on an app or an iPad. It is used on the computer, and gouache is used. It is a chalkier, more of a consistency of watercolor. Casein is milk-based. It's an older type of paint. Not very many people use that today, but you can use it as a base layer for gouache or watercolor. Fresco is a traditional method of painting. It is plaster and egg yolk and pigment that is mixed together. You mix the egg yolk and the pigment, and you apply that onto the wet plaster, and as it solidifies, it hardens that pigment in there, and it is set. So also, spray painting and street art is graffiti. It can be found pretty much everywhere, especially in abandoned places like under bridges. A lot of people just love to express themselves creatively without being seen, you know. The types of paints: oil-based paints, which are oil-based. Synthetic paints are plastics and some chemicals. Emulsion paints are chemical paints, which are pretty toxic. Cellulose paints are flat and not the original color is going to be is not what you want. It could be, I think they are more of like a primer type of paint. Varnishes are what goes on top of the painting, so that can create a matte, a satin, or a shiny finish on top of your painting. Also, you can get toned varnishes, so if your painting is more of a cool tone, you can apply a more warm tone varnish that will help tone down that bluish tint. Water-based paints are like watercolor, gouache, or casein. And special paints are made for glass, wood, or plastic with those different textures or that shiny coat of on plastic that will help bind to those materials. So what is paint used for? Paint is used for coating, is a coating of fluid that produces a color or finish over a certain material. It dries from liquid to solid. It protects color or applies texture, and it is an artistic expression. Also, painting is a job. It is people's source of income. People work for companies just to paint houses or paint the interior of homes. Why people paint? It relieves stress. It's a great stress reliever. I use it whenever I'm stressed. I paint. It's honestly the best. It's creative meditation. It passes time. It's when you start painting, you really do not realize how fast you are going. It expresses emotions. It boosts self-esteem, and it symbolizes situations. It also is a job, again, for construction or home improvement. The history of painting. Cave paintings were originally by the Neanderthals. They would mix pigment with berries and apply that onto a cave or the inside of a cave, and those are still intact today. Michelangelo used the fresco technique in the Sistine Chapel. He painted the ceiling, and the famous painting of David reaching to God with the hands connecting, that was using the fresco technique. Watercolor for oil studies. So watercolor was first used as just the base or the very first original study for an oil painting. And acrylic is new. It is very popular today. I use acrylic. I love it. It's easy to mix colors, but it is hard to blend, so it takes a lot of time to blend those colors, and you have to add lots of layers. Also, it is plastic based. And that's it. So thank y'all for listening to my